We are so pleased to have on set today Blake Dinius, who is the entomologist for Plymouth County. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, and an entomologist is a gentleman or a woman who studies
insects, and it extends to other things too, like some of the creepy crawlies like spiders and ticks.
Okay, but the biggest reason that you were actually hired last August by Plymouth County is because of ticks.
That's correct.
And the objective was to
lower the incidence rates of tick-borne diseases in the county through the idea behind it is to educate the public
right.
on all of the scientifically proven methods.
Right, and there's a lot of misinformation out there about ticks.
That's absolutely correct.
A ton of it. Mm-hmm. What is the most important misinformation that's out there about ticks?
Honestly, most people think that, for instance, a harsh winter is going to have a noticeable impact on ticks. I have to say that that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
Okay. The ticks can be around no matter what.
Absolutely, and we see them year-round, especially the black-legged ticks we'll see year-round. Anytime the weather gets above freezing, you'll have tick activity.
Okay. Now, almost every creature on this earth, or everything, was created as part of the grand circle of life. It feeds something else. Ticks are basically just bad actors, right?
Absolutely. They're parasites. You can kind of think of them like thieves in a neighborhood. A lot of times people ask me, what's their purpose? Well, thieves in a neighborhood don't really have a purpose either.
There's nothing good to be said about a tick.
They're bad guys. They're certainly bad guys.
We've made that clear. Yes. There's possibly some research going on about saliva of ticks or something that maybe can be used as a positive down the road.
So tick saliva is really complicated. It's very complex. If you ask anyone who's doing research on ticks, they'll even admit that that's probably one of the most fascinating aspects of a tick. And there's, like you mentioned, there's some research in the medical community on what are some of the benefits, what are the silver linings that ticks can provide for us as humans.
Because we got to find those. Because these guys have none right now.
Yes.
So that's being worked on.
That's being worked on.
Medical labs.
Yep, and they're making good progress. There's a lot of stuff coming out that looks promising.
Great. Okay. Now, ticks, how do they affect human beings? Well, let's talk about that first.
So the ticks, as we mentioned earlier, they're parasites, and they're looking to, they must feed on blood.
Okay.
They're called obligate blood feeders.
Okay.
That's the only thing they eat. And so they're looking to find a spot on our body, hunker down, and feed for a really long time. What's amazing about them is that they only ever eat 3 times in their entire life at most.
Really?
And so you have to think everything that they need to sustain their entire life cycle has to come from these three
meals.
These 3 meals. So everything about them is geared around staying on us for a long time.
Right.
And that in addition to taking our blood, there's also a lot of pathogens and organisms that reside inside the tick that are looking to use the tick as what we call a vector.
Sure.
And kind of take that slip and slide down.
Here you go. Here's my bad stuff. I'm going to now give it to you.
Exactly.
You poor person that just
And they have a life cycle that is dependent on these ticks.
Okay. So let's get to the blood and guts. How bad are they this year, or are they just as bad every year?
Exactly, the latter.
Okay.
I don't foresee them being any worse this year than they have been any other year.
We still have to just be really diligent.
Absolutely. I kind of look at it like if a weatherman forecasts rain, it doesn't matter if we get half an inch or an inch, you've got to bring your umbrella.
That's right. You still have to protect yourself from the rain. Okay. What drives the tick population?
So there's a lot of good research coming out right now, but I don't know if anyone quite has a crystal ball just yet. There's different ideas being explored, and it's very fascinating, but we don't know.
We don't know.
So
we're still in the process. We do know that ticks do not like dry, arid places, correct?
That's correct.
So they would not do well in the desert, right? They like moisture.
They like moisture, and especially with regards to the black-legged tick. Now, there's 2 other ticks that we have in this area: Lone Star tick and American dog tick, and those are human-feeding ticks as well. They're a little bit more tolerant of dry conditions, but they'll still dry out given enough time. But the black-legged tick, especially, or the deer tick, that dries out very rapidly.
And we're going to show this. We have a little example of how tiny these ticks really are, and we'll show it on our screen for the folks at home to see. But they're so small that it's almost impossible to see them sometimes. So what's the importance of tick checks, and how do we avoid the ticks from ever sticking to us in the first place?
Get in the habit of doing a daily tick check. as I always like to say, it's like getting people to start brushing their teeth that have never brushed their teeth in their entire life.
Yep.
But you start to get really good at it.
Yep.
For instance, for me, it takes me maybe 30 to 40 seconds, and I do a tick check every single day. I come in immediately after I'm outside. I take a shower, get undressed, get in front of a mirror, and I check my body for ticks.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people will say that their vision isn't what it used to be.
Right.
And I would recommend using your fingertips, because very often your fingertips are a little bit more sensitive than maybe your eyesight.
Yeah.
So you can feel
them. Right.
Exactly. And
Right.
if you notice maybe a new freckle
Yep.
or new mole,
Yep.
then you might want to take a closer examination at that.
And see if that's a tick.
Exactly. It
Okay.
could be a tick.
So let's say you get bit by a tick and the tick is on you. What is the proper way to take the tick off?
Get a handy pair of tweezers.
Tweezers, yep.
And what you want to do is you want to come in from the side
Of the tick.
side of the tick.
Yep.
And you want to grasp really close, as close as possible to your skin.
Yep.
And then just pull straight up. It's as easy as that.
Okay.
Slow and steady force.
Yep.
It might feel like your skin is kind of getting pulled up.
But it
is actually.
It is, right. But you'll get the whole tick.
Not necessarily all the time. Sometimes with what we call the hypostome, sometimes that's left inside the tick. It's a feeding tube. It's a beak-like organ.
Yep.
And that's okay.
It'll fall off.
Yeah, if that's
Yeah.
in your body, it's a little bit like a splinter.
Okay, we'll get rid of that. So if you want to save the tick, you put it into a plastic bag. If for some reason you feel, I better save this tick.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
would honestly recommend saving the tick, if for
Ziploc.
nothing else,
Yep.
than to have the tick identified. Because what we know about the diseases present inside ticks,
Yep.
knowing the species can be really important information
Yep.
for medical diagnosis. And so having that information just gives you more power.
Right. Like Lyme disease comes from only certain types of ticks, and
No,
other
exactly.
Rocky Mountain
Spotted
fever
fever
comes from other types of ticks.
Exactly.
So if we have the tick, don't throw it down the drain, don't burn it, put it in the bag.
Yep. And then you can actually have that identified, and you can have it tested as well.
Right. And there's places you can go to actually have your tick tested before you need to be tested, if you want to do that.
Yes.
So I know as a parent, you find a tick on your child, and the first thing you think is, oh, I got to get my child to the doctor right away. I need to have a test.
Absolutely.
You don't necessarily have to do that right away, but there's ways. It's really important to save the tick.
Yes, it's
Okay.
important to save the tick.
Okay.
And what the testing can
critical.
help with
Yep.
is knowing what pathogens are inside that tick.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to have those, but it lets you know your level of risk
Okay.
with those. Now, for instance, if you got a tick and there was nothing in it, there were no pathogens, there you go, peace
pretty
of
good,
mind.
right.
But if there were other pathogens, let's say there was more than just the pathogens that cause Lyme,
Yep.
then the doctor might be looking for other things as well.
Okay. One last thing before we have to go, and I hate the fact that this goes so fast, is to go outside for mosquitoes. You do mosquito sprays with DEET.
Yes.
What do you do to protect your clothes and your skin from ticks?
So for your clothing, I highly recommend that you start using permethrin.
Okay.
That's
Is it
the
a
best
spray?
thing. It's a spray that you apply only to your clothes, but
Right.
that will repel and kill ticks.
Okay.
Now, if you want to, for your skin, because permethrin is for clothes only,
Yep.
you want to use 4 of the EPA registered repellents. That's DEET, picaridin, oil of lemon eucalyptus, and this thing Arid 3535, which
Okay.
is found in Avon Skin So Soft plus Bug Guard.
Okay. So all this I can find on your website.
Yes.
What is the website?
The website is PlymouthCountyExtension.org.
PlymouthCountyExtension.org. And there's also, and you have a couple, there's tickspotters.org, there's tickreport.com. There's a whole bunch of different places you can go for more directed information. But it's such a massive subject that there's no way we can cover this in 8 minutes.
No, absolutely not.
So the idea is to go to the website, and you also have your schedule where you go out and give presentations.
Correct.
Listed there.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Great information. Thank you so much.
Thank
We'll
you.
have an update from you
Okay.
going forward.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.